Jamie Murray, Safety and Survival Instructor, Maersk Training UK. The barrier I own is emergency training. It's very important that people who work offshore have a basic level of emergency response and preparedness training. This allows them to understand how they have to conduct themselves to help promote a safe workplace, as well as knowing their actions in the event of an emergency. The basic level of emergency response and preparedness training required for work within the UK continental shelf offshore is the BOSIET course, the Basic Offshore Safety Induction and Emergency Training. It's broken down into a number of modules, including safety induction, where we introduce delegates to living and working offshore, and an introduction to the rules and systems that are in place to help promote a safe workplace. We do emergency fire training, first response actions on discovering a fire, and understanding what actions may be required of them should that fire escalate. Then we also do sea survival sessions, where we look at an emergency which might escalate to the point where abandonment or down manning is required. So it's very important then that delegates understand what would be happening during an event like this. This culminates in a sea survival exercise with a simulated abandonment, and we cover some of the techniques and principles behind helping promote survival within the sea. In addition to that, we do transfer to and from offshore installations by helicopter, so it's very important that we cover helicopter passenger safety and also how delegates should conduct themselves in the event of an emergency on board. And this culminates in a practical session where we go through simulated ditchings and underwater egress, simulating an emergency, using the equipment that you're going to be finding when you fly to and from an asset in the UK continental shelf. Once you do your BOSIET, you'll be required to complete a refresher, which is a one-day course. It must be completed within 4 years minus 1 day from your initial completion of the BOSIET certificate. This is very important because while you will be working and living within the industry, so to speak, you won't necessarily have as much contact with some of the emergency training. So during the refresher, we'll revisit those areas where you don't ordinarily get access to practicing during drills and exercises offshore. So we'll revisit firefighting training, emergency first aid, and helicopter underwater and escape. If you find yourself in an emergency situation, always remember your training. Ask yourself, do you always check the emergency safety equipment provided to you on the helicopter and the asset? When traveling by helicopter, do you know where your buckle and exit are at all times?